everyone, my name is Patrick and I'm a marketing professional, and today I will be talking about cult topics, okay? Like, for example, the byte model and stuff like that, okay? So, the byte model is a concept that is not exactly created, it is adopted by Steve Hassan, and it has been regurgitated over and over again within the anti-MLM community. So let's check it out, okay? So let's check it out. So here we have Judy Addison, okay? She talk about byte model. She also bring up one of his books like Freedom of Mind, okay? We need to talk about Amway, Merchant of Deceptions. She used the concept within the Steve Hassan's books in order to discredit the value, in order to throw dirt on the network marketing industry. So here we also have Oris Marco, okay?
And every cult utilizes the byte model.
Every cult utilizes the byte model. He also endorses the Steve Hassan in order to educate the viewers to, you know, free their mind from the so-called what they say you are being brainwashed, so they have to do a deprogramming, stuff like that. CC Squares also endorses Steve Hassan's, okay, how to get loved one out of network marketing. Almost all of the anti-MLM in the world today on the online space, they talk about Steve Hassan's concepts just because they can use it against network marketing. But let's see if Steve Hassan is really what he made it out to be. Is he the registered psychologist, psychiatrist, or whatever what he claimed to be? So I look at the Cult Education Institute. All right, these are some of the findings that I found. Okay, let me look at it. Steve Hassan. Let's read. Let's start with this one. Complaint to licensing board against Steve Hassan. On April 20, 2012, cult specialist Steve Hassan was officially notified by the Board of Registration of Allied Mental Health Professionals in, I have no idea how to spell that one, pronounce that one, that he was facing an official complaint filed by the former client against him. The board advised Hassan in an order to show cause that he might have his license as a mental health professional revoked or suspended. So there are some things that's going on, okay, in his line of work. And here you can see that there's a case against him. You can pause and read, okay. Now, this one is very interesting. Cult Education Institute, okay? This is from the Cult Education Institute. Disclaimer regarding Steve Hassan. The inclusion of new articles within the Cult Education Institute of New Jersey, CEI archives, which mention, quote, Steve Hassan in no way suggests that CEI recognize him in any professional capacity. Notice the choice of words that they use. If they say that they did not endorse him, even though he's a professional, it is still okay. I will still accept it. But the cult education did not specifically use the word, oh, we do not endorse him. They specifically say that they did not recognize him in any professional capacity. So this will definitely tell you something, okay? This definitely tell you about Steve Hassan. News articles that mention Steve Hassan has been archived for historical purpose only due to the information they contain about controversial groups, movements, and or leaders. They only included him in the articles because he talks about controversial topics, okay, movements or leaders. The CEI does not recommend Steve Hassan. Can you imagine that? Oh, you can read this book, but I definitely don't recommend you reading Steve Hassan's book. Can you imagine the Cult Education Institute specifically tells you they do not recommend Steve Hassan's books and teachings? That's saying something, okay? That is saying something. SEI have received serious complaints about Steve Hassan's concerning his fees. He charged way too high, okay? About the highest they can go is about $5,000 per day. You can pause and read, okay? It's about, the lowest is $250 per hour to $5,000 per day, okay? This does not include Steve Hassan's expenses. It's just a bare minimum, okay? Bare minimum. He did not include the expenses yet. So let's forget about the cost, okay? Let's say we can afford it, okay? Steve Hassan has charged families tens of thousands of dollars, blah blah blah, okay? Who holds a doctorate, okay? Dr. Kathleen Mann, who holds a doctorate in psychology, has been a licensed counselor in the state Colorado since 1994, points out nowhere does Hassan provide a base rate or any type of accepted statistical method defining his results. Okay, Steve Hassan has at times suggested to potential clients, blah blah blah. Oh, what he call his bite model. Okay, these bite reports can potentially cost thousands of dollars. Steve Hassan runs a for-profit corporation called Freedom of Mind. He also wrote a book about freedom of mind, but we'll get to that later on, okay? Mr. Hassan is listed as the corporate agent for that business as well as its president and treasurer. CEI does not recommend freedom of mind as a resource. Again, they did not specifically use the word, they did not say they do not endorse the freedom of mind as a resource. They specifically say that they do not recommend freedom of mind as a resource. Okay, that is saying something as well. CEI also does not list or recommend Steve Hassan's books. Okay, to better understand why Steve Hassan's books are not recommended by CEI, read the detailed review of his most recent self-published book titled Freedom of Mind. Now, Freedom of Mind has been endorsed by many of the anti-MLM, okay, especially Judy Edison, Oris Marco, okay. Let me just go back, okay. Let me just go back. I'm sure one of the videos he mentioned it, okay. Now, where was I? Okay. Now, to check out why the CEI does not recommend his books, especially the Freedom of Mind, let's check it out. Steve Hassan's latest book, Freedom of Mind, helping loved ones live controlling people, cult beliefs, just released summer, blah blah blah. However, it is notable that in this third book, Hassan has greatly expanded his target audience due to what he said is cult activities increasing exponentially and the rise of the internet. Since Hassan maintains a substantial internet presence through his website freedomofmind.com, it could be argued that his increased public sensitivity to cults, thereby magnifying the importance of cults, are on the rise. That's what he said. Okay, but there is no proof of this claim. Hassan offered no scientific study or survey with statistics to prove his theories. It may be that cults are on a downward turns, but perhaps cult has remained the same. The numbers have remained the same. These possibilities may not help in the marketing and sales of his books, but they are two equal possibilities. Okay, of course, none of these statements regarding the growth of decline of cults is based on scientific evidence. Hassan theories are not generally informative in any factual sense. It seems to me Hassan's purpose at conflating cult numbers is to frighten people. He's using it to frighten people and provide him with the marketing tool to sell books, okay? And now he got the anti-MLM hogging his books, promoting his books, just because it goes against MLM, okay? But there are no scientific backing behind it. CEI is not coming from me. I'm not saying that Steve Hassan books are not credible. This is not from me. This is from CEI. Okay, this is from CEI word for word. Okay, they do not recommend his books. There's no scientific backing behind his studies and stuff like that. Okay, so you can read all about it here. And if this does not convince you that Steve Hassan's books are indeed not credible and based on wishy-washy scientific, backings, then maybe this. Let me check. Okay, you might be interested in this video.
Kidnapping, false imprisonment, assault, and battery. What else is Leah Remini hiding about her storytellers?
You do get paid and you do get attention for doing this stuff.
I don't work for free.
Leah Remini and co-host, author, and expert. His violent abuses against American citizens and their civil rights. Hassan was an accomplice in the Cult Awareness Network. This anti-religious hate group served as a national referral service for so-called deprogrammers. They ran a racket to kidnap, assault, and traumatize law-abiding men and women for profit, all to coerce them into recanting their religious beliefs. And Steve Hassan is a notorious deprogrammer. Hassan led the squad that traumatized one adult victim, Arthur Roselle, for 2 weeks to try and break the man's faith. In sworn testimony, Roselle recounted his physical and mental assault. Hassan's team threw him to the floor, cutting and bruising his face. They bound his hands and feet and held him captive for days on end. They deprived him of sleep and violated his privacy and basic dignity. When Roselle refused to recant his religious beliefs, Hassan threatened to inject him with shots. And to add insult to injury, Hassan tried to induce his victim to lie and commit perjury about the crime. Then there was the testimony of Lauren Sala. Hassan's team broke into her motel room, threw her from the bed, and threatened to break her leg if she called for help or tried to escape. They took her hostage and drove her to a remote hideaway, where they imprisoned her for 8 days, trying to break her faith. When Hassan's thugs failed, he tormented Salah for 3 more days, until she managed to negotiate her release. Another of Hassan's victims, Claire Kelly, also testified that Hassan unlawfully held her captive. He had her held in a room with no knobs on the windows, kept her under 24-hour guard, and violated her privacy. Hassan pawned himself off as a, quote, expert on religions in court cases.
These are some of the tip of the icebergs, okay? There are so many cases, so many, okay?
Documentation on the liars, lawbreakers, assailants.
There are so many cases against him in the past. So when you, as an anti-MLMer, endorses his books, which are based on nothing but not approved by the CEI, okay? They are not approved. There's no scientific backings behind it. You are not only wasting air, okay? You are also encouraging a man who have assisted or even participated in himself in kidnapping, assault, abuse, torture of his victims, okay? Of his clients, victims, and I really hope that I do not endorse any of this. Whenever anybody quotes the Bite Model, the Freedom of Mind, or any of his books, okay, Combating Cult Mind Control by Stephen Hassan, The Cult of Trump by Stephen Hassan, Freedom of Mind by Stephen Hassan, Releasing the Bonds by Stephen Hassan. He may claim himself as a self-proclaimed psychiatrist, cult expert, but honestly, if you ask me, okay, I do not see him as an expert at all. And yet here we are, all the anti-MLM keep quoting non-stop about Steve Hassan just to push their narrative that MLM network marketing companies are a cult. This has got to stop. Whenever I see any of these, I will strongly advocate against this because I do not believe in inhumane treatment of victims, okay? And that is all for my video. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye bye.